They were the most explosive team in basketball.
He trapped the sledgehammer.
Here comes Chris Paul. The lob. The jam! Oh, what a monster jam by DeAndre Jordan!
You want to have fun. Come see Clipper basketball. You never know what's going to happen next.
Future Hall of Famers surrounded by elite role players who went on a 5-year run as one of the most competitive teams in the NBA's Western Conference. They were assembled with one goal in mind: bringing the franchise's first championship home to Los Angeles.
This much talent at this time in this place.
Listen, man, when I threw the lob to DJ, all I had to do was keep it in the arena.
I still go back. I go back to that all the time. I think about it all the time. And I was so sure that team was going to win a championship.
But when it felt like they finally had everything together, the window would close as fast as it had opened. This is the story of Lob City.
We really believed we was going to win a championship. And looking back, I'm not sure we were mentally ready to win a championship.
Very talented team, but for some reason or another, we just couldn't get over the hump. It had a lot to do with all the hats Doc was wearing.
Instead of getting closer together, you end up pointing fingers at each other. It's weird to think what we had the potential to accomplish and what ultimately derailed that was pettiness.
I'm Lamar Odom. I'm curious in the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm Darius Brown for the LA Clippers. We believe we have the best fans. That's fans in the NBA. Our fans are smart.
For decades, the Los Angeles Clippers were an afterthought. Over their first 27 seasons in the City of Angels, the Clippers would make the playoffs only 4 times, oftentimes becoming a punchline of NBA jokes. They had naturally become known as the little brother to the 17-time champion Lakers, and despite having been home to a few exciting young players in the mid-2000s, the struggles had remained. As the franchise entered the 2010s, it was clear that the Clippers were ready to elevate themselves into a consistent contender. The roster itself had improved entering the new decade, with centerpiece Chris Kaman anchoring a roster of young talent that included former All-Star Baron Davis, Eric Gordon, and an athletic big by the name of DeAndre Jordan. For years, the franchise's luck had been mocked, but entering the 2009 NBA draft, things were about to change for the other team in LA.
Blake Griffin, hello!
Carr right in his face. Here's Blake Griffin. No double. No, the double comes from the far side.
He is a franchise-level power forward, in my opinion. I think he's a guy that you can pencil in for multiple All-Star games. You can build a championship team around him.
Pick by Taylor Griffin. It's a 4-on-1.
The high-flying Blake Griffin had made a name for himself with the Oklahoma Sooners, winning the Naismith College Player of the Year award after a record-breaking sophomore season.
How does Blake Griffin potentially fit into the Clippers?
Yeah, I think Blake Griffin would fit in with anybody.
Having had one of the league's worst records in 2009, the Clippers would win the lottery, being awarded the #1 pick in the NBA draft.
With the first pick in the 2009 NBA draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Blake Griffin.
You know, I'm not worried about what's happened in the past. I'm only looking forward to the future. You know, we're not going to think about, what's happened in the seasons past. We're just, excited about the opportunity and going to make the best out of whatever situation we're put in.
The modern era of the Clippers would begin with Blake Griffin. That is, after the promising young star had to sit out his rookie season due to a broken kneecap. His rookie campaign may have been delayed, but his impact wasn't, as Griffin immediately put the league on notice in his first official season.
Like you said, we were super duper young Thundercats coming in the league, and we were super hungry and trying to outdo each other, especially when it came to dunks.
Boy, ahead to Bledsoe, the lob, the jam! He's got Blake, Boy, the lob, the jam!
Being named an NBA All-Star as a rookie, Blake would put together one of the most impressive rookie seasons in NBA history. He'd win the league's Rookie of the Year award, and do so while averaging 22 points and a career-high 12 rebounds per game. While the team would still fail to make the playoffs, the vibes in LA were shifting, and come December of 2011, the direction of the Clippers franchise would change forever.
After 2 failed attempts to trade superstar Chris Paul to LA, the Hornets finally succeeded. So one of the greatest athletes to ever represent New Orleans is officially a member of the Los Angeles Clippers.
When the trade fell apart or was denied, what were your first thoughts?
I didn't know what to think, and all that different stuff that took place. Fortunately, it's behind me now, and I'm here, and I get a chance to be a Los Angeles Clipper, and the future looks bright, and I cannot wait.
While Blake Griffin had brought the franchise positive publicity, Chris Paul would bring the stability the franchise craved.
Pulled free by the man of steel. Ariza running the floor with him. Paul off to Trevor.
Known by many as the game's best point guard at the time, Paul had risen to stardom with the New Orleans Hornets, earning his reputation as basketball's best floor general.
Paul crossover, dribble drive, dumps it off to Ariza for 3. Yes, sir! Paul buries the jumper.
After notoriously being traded to the Lakers in a deal that was vetoed by the league, the Clippers would be rewarded with a new centerpiece to pair alongside the exciting young Griffin. Paul's ability to see the floor and create for teammates had become his calling card, and now combined with one of the game's most explosive athletes, the Clippers would become must-see TV.
Go at each other. And DeAndre, look out underneath. Here we go. Slam dunk.
Listen, man, when I threw the lob to DJ, all I had to do was keep it in the arena.
Quiet start. Hello. The jam. Clippers hot. 5 of their last 6. Alley-oop Jordan. 3rd in the NBA in dunks.
Your guys' connection was so the way he had both you guys on both different sides. I mean, imagine having, because everyone pictures Blake being the amazing dunker. DJ was right there, but DJ was 7 feet.
Wraparound dribble through the paint. There it is. Round the lob and a jam.
And look at Chris Paul. He's like telling DeAndre, don't celebrate. Let's get back on D. Let's go get another one.
When we first got there, me and Blake were just trying to put on a show. We're trying to win games. We're definitely trying to put on a show out there. And then CP came in super methodical and on you all the time, which back then I would be like, man, God, CP, but when I got older and we were teammates for a couple more years, I understood what it was. It wasn't like he was on us. He just was like, I need to instill this shit into y'all.
Drill it
if we're gonna, try to compete for a championship.
Paul again against Iguodala. There it is for the lead. Got it.
At their best, the Lob City Clippers were balanced in a way that gets overlooked. The Lobs may have been what made late-night highlight shows, but the engine of the team was the way they broke down the defense.
Tie game. 28 seconds to go. Rockets will get it back. Paul, 12 in a row. How about that move by Blake Griffin? A 360 layup.
It was a dream come true, and it's from the standpoint this much talent at this time in this place where we can kind of write our own history.
Paul almost lost it. 2 seconds left. Kobe defending Paul. Paul hits it. Gets it back. Wow. Out of nowhere.
For me, that put my full game on display. It kind of introduced my game to everybody who wasn't just a casual basketball fan.
This place goes nuts when Jamal Crawford goes into his fancy dribble mode.
He just simply froze Travis Outlaw to the floor.
Whether it was elite sixth-man play from one of the game's greatest off the bench in Jamal Crawford, elite shooting from marksman J.J. Redick, or a medley of elite on-ball defenders such as Matt Barnes, the team had a well-rounded supporting cast that should have been built to last. But this is the part of the story where expectations begin to change the narrative. Your success is no longer defined by top plays on SportsCenter. It's measured by what you do in the playoffs. For the Clippers, this shift happened fast. Once an afterthought and lovable underdog, the team had now made the playoffs in 2012, losing in the second round to the Spurs. In 2013, they followed up with a second straight playoff push, one that ended in the first round at the hands of the grinded-out Grizzlies. As 2014 rolled around, the Clippers were no longer just trying to be respectable. They wanted to win it all.
We had so much talent. Yeah. We had I think we won the second most games over a 5-year span, behind maybe the Spurs or Warriors, one or the other, in that time period. So we was like, we gonna win a championship. We had everything. If you look at the roster, go back and look at the rosters, and then Doc, who had just won a championship.
Doc Rivers was introduced as the new Clippers head coach on June 26th.
It's really good to be here. This is a new challenge for me.
What intrigued you?
Their talent. I just think they're a talented team. They're young. For me, it just gave me a lot of life, working with some of the young, talented guys and trying to figure out if we can figure out a way of becoming a winning team.
The Clippers made their expectations official when they brought in former NBA champion coach Doc Rivers. And behind their new coach, Lob City would elevate to new heights.
That is some connection there. Paul, the lob and the slam and cover. Barnes another rebound. Back to Griffin. Thunder slam.
Redding, it's a good look. Bingo.
Collison to the goal for two and he's fouled. When he does that, good things happen.
But I think you would agree, momentum is building for the other tenant of Staples Center.
Big time.
The former stepchild known as the Clippers.
Over the course of 2014, the Clippers would rise into a top team in the Western Conference. On their way to a franchise record 57 wins, Blake Griffin would make another leap, averaging a career-high 24 points per game for LA.
Blake is probably top shelf people I've ever played with or seen in person. Blake is that. As good as he was that people saw, he was still underrated.
Chris Paul and company had come together to earn the third seed entering the postseason, and would match up with the up-and-coming Golden State Warriors in round 1.
Los Angeles Clippers have won Game 7, and they advance to the second round with tears of joy down the face of their first-year coach, Doc Rivers.
The first-round victory would be bittersweet for the Clippers, as the season's success was quickly replaced with distraction. In April of 2017, media outlet TMZ had leaked controversial audio of franchise owner Donald Sterling, in which Sterling could be heard saying racist remarks.
What is your reaction to this story?
Well, I was appalled. But to be quite honest with you, I wasn't too surprised. I've known several players that have played for Donald Sterling in the past, in particular Baron Davis, who's been on the record very publicly decrying some of the stuff that was spewed in his direction.
The Clippers themselves had protested against their owner, and soon NBA Commissioner Adam Silver would drop the hammer on the controversy.
Effective immediately, I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA.
Despite the distraction, the Clippers would continue their quest for the franchise's first title, now matching up in the second round with another pair of hungry stars in Oklahoma City. Although Los Angeles would take Game 1, it was clear that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook were on a mission, and the talented Thunder would turn up the intensity the rest of the series.
The telephone mimicry. That counts in the foul. Durant goes to Dudley. Fouled and one. Durant does it again. Here's Durant for three. Yes. Paul down to three. Down to two. Trying to get it down low. Bobby took it away. It's all over. The Oklahoma 2015 was supposed to be the year. The Clippers were at full strength and had once again put together a strong regular season. In round 1 of the playoffs, they had been matched up with the aging San Antonio Spurs, surviving the series in 7 games. In the second round against the Houston Rockets, the Clippers would go up 3-1 to start the series. The path to the conference finals was right in front of them, which brings us to Game 6. Made
The margin's 12. The save by Jordan took out 2 people.
Yeah, that time, great hustle play. But he taps it and winds up going right to Brewer, knocks down the 3.
Brewer on the drive, got it to go. Here is Smith. Ariza is trailing. Smith thought about launching. He'll hold on. 9-point game. Now Smith will take the 3 and hit.
I still go back. I go back to that all the time. I think about it all the time. And I was so sure that team was going to win a championship. I was so sure of it. And like, you're in the moment. You're like, this is like Josh Smith is hitting 3-step back threes. Brewer's hitting 3s. Like, you're kind of like, what's going on? Like, we're still better than these guys. We're going to still win this game. We don't win the game.
In a shocking turn of events, the Clippers would not only drop Game 6, but subsequently also lose Game 7 back in Houston to complete one of the greatest playoff collapses in modern NBA history.
And the comeback is complete. The Houston Rockets will play in their first conference final in 18 years as they win Game 7, wire to wire.
It had seemed like Lob City was finally going to get its title run. They had been so close. But instead, they were once again sent home empty-handed.
But we really felt like this 2015 season was the year. I mean, basically we were up 3-1 and got swept, which was crazy too, because that's the year Golden State won their first championship. But if you take it back the year before that, 2014, we were the last team to knock them out. Our kryptonite was ourselves. We kept getting in our way. Some guys butted heads and the chemistry wasn't what it should be, but when the chemistry was on, it was magical.
What's going on, y'all? It's Trice, and I want to thank Momentous for sponsoring this video. If you're like me, your physical conditioning and performance is a huge part of your life. As a former college and pro hooper, I know the grind of staying at your best never really stops. You're always searching for the most effective ways to keep moving towards your goals. I've been building a simple daily routine lately, and a big part of that has been Momentous Creatine Chews. Most people know creatine works. The hard part is taking it consistently. That's why I love this product. It's creatine in a chew, so you can take it on the go wherever you are. What made me trust Momentous is their Momentous standard. They're obsessive about quality, transparency, and testing. Every batch is third-party tested and certified. NSF certified for sport and/or informed sport. And there are no proprietary blends, which means you know exactly what you're taking. Each chew delivers 1 gram of Creeper creatine, the gold standard creatine monohydrate. Their mission is simple: make daily creatine use effortless so you can stay locked in on performance for life. Brand new this month, they have all new flavors for you to try, meaning there's something for everybody. If you've been trying to get more consistent with your training, recovery, or just your daily routine, then check out Momentous Creatine Chews. Click the link or scan my QR and use my code TRICE for 35% off your first order. Now there's no more excuse. Let's get to work. Again, I want to thank Momentous for sponsoring this video. This Clippers core would never reach the same heights. In fact, the once exciting underdog story now completely changed its tone. Early in the 2016 season, Blake Griffin would be ruled out with a torn quad, and prior to his return a month later, would find himself involved in an off-court incident. An argument with a friend who was also a Clippers staff member had resulted in Griffin suffering a severe right hand injury. This would mean Blake Griffin would miss a combined 45 games in 2016. In his absence, Chris Paul rose to the occasion, once again averaging nearly 20 points and 10 assists for the regular season. The Clippers would still manage to win 53 games, but in the first round of the playoffs would see Paul break his hand in Game 3. Without their leader on the floor and with Griffin re-aggravating his quad in Game 4, the Clippers would be sent home in 6 games. The NBA's Western Conference is brutal, and with a new wave of talented teams taking the stage, the window for a Clippers championship run had officially closed.
I don't think there was one moment. Doc used to always talk about how when one group was kind of together for a long period of time, instead of getting closer together, you end up pointing fingers at each other. it was weird because separately everybody was really cool with each other. Off the court, everybody sort of got along. And then there was just so much like pettiness. It was just pettiness. It's weird to think what we had the potential to accomplish and what ultimately derailed that was pettiness.
And that's back when, Doc had a lot of the power. If I'm not mistaken, he was like president, GM, and head coach. You know what I mean? So that's a lot of different hats to wear. I got into him with it that season. So I was traded at 12:01 in the AM East Coast time. I was the first trade. But I just think there was, and when I talked to guys on their way out, there was just a lot of grumbling. And like I said, I think it had a lot to do with all the hats Doc was wearing.
We really believed we was going to win a championship. And looking back, I'm not sure we were mentally ready to win a championship. And I think our youth took a shot at us. Oh, we'll be back. You know what I mean? Because our best players are young. Blake and CP was young. DJ's young. But it's like, I think, honestly, we're one of the best teams to never win a championship.
Breaking news here on SportsCenter as well from the NBA. The Clippers have agreed to a deal that sends Blake Griffin to the Detroit Pistons. Our Adrian Wojnarowski reporting.
In January of 2018, the Clippers would trade Blake Griffin. It was a move that marked the end of an era. Lob City had captured the imagination of NBA fans across the globe. Their unbelievable highlights and entertaining roster had left fans tuning in for half a decade, excited to see one of the most competitive teams the NBA had to offer. It was a roster built around future Hall of Fame talent and elite role players, good enough to be in the chase for a championship year after year. But when the window closed, one thing was still missing: a banner the Clippers could claim as their own in Los Angeles. In the end, this era of basketball would forever change the narrative for the Clippers. While the franchise is still chasing its first ring, it does so now with a competitive reputation that's owed to the group that made LA's other team a respectable one. A team that made basketball must-see TV